The Mariners have made their second trade of trade season, and season, by the way, is spelled SZN. They have acquired Caleb Ferguson from the Pittsburgh Pirates in exchange for right-handed pitcher Jeter Martinez. Before we get into it, I want to make sure I think Simply Seattle, the very best in Seattle sports gear. Great stuff for the Mariners, of course, but Seahawks season's coming, guys. Husky season's coming, guys. Kraken season's not that far away, guys, or girls, or whoever. You need to get your stuff from Simply Seattle. And then do not forget to enter code MOLLYWOP15 because it saves 15% off your order. MOLLYWHOP15. Just type it in at checkout. And it's great because it saves 15%. And it also shows like you're paying attention to Mollywop Monday and you're paying attention to this show as well. So I would really, really appreciate you guys checking them out so we can help everybody. You help yourself by getting some awesome stuff for cheap. You help Simply Seattle, a local business, and you help me. So please check out Simply Seattle, link in the description. Okay, let's start with Jeter Martinez because this is a guy who I think Mariner fans are kind of familiar with, if only because of the name. Jeter Martinez, a very funny name, especially for a pitcher. You know, my combo there is Derek Jeter and Edgar Martinez. You may have heard of him. But if you were a neutral party, you're probably going Jeter and Pedro Martinez. You're going the Boston, New York thing. Either way, a pitcher named Jeter is pretty funny. I don't want to say that Jeter Martinez was expendable. Maybe I do. What I don't want to say is that he's not talented, right? Because this is a 19-year-old who has touched the high 90s with his fastball. I believe it's been in triple digits at times too. So, you know, there is electric adjacent arm talent. And when he's at his best, he's a guy who shows a 70 fastball. He shows a 55 slider. And occasionally you'll see a so-so change. What you won't see very often is any clue where those pitches are going to end up because his command is just dreadful right now. I will also say there's plenty of time for him to develop that command. I think this is a nice get for Pittsburgh. You know, you sign Caleb Ferguson to a one-year deal, and we'll talk about Ferguson and his situation in a sec, of course, but a 1-year, $3 million deal, and you get a 19-year-old who can touch triple digits or at least the high 90s. Not bad. Not bad. Having said that, the Mariners could easily afford to make a deal like this. Easily. Not just because he doesn't make a lot of money, obviously, but because they have prospects in the system who are substantially better than Jeter Martinez. Not a guy who was in my top 25. And that's more compliment to the system than it is insult to Martinez. But still a pretty easy trade to make. Okay, let's talk about Caleb Ferguson, who is a left-handed pitcher. Believe he's going to be 30 this year. No, he turned 29 this year. Still got 1 year. One more year of youth, Caleb. Enjoy it. You probably, if you remember him, and some of you don't, I've had a few people ask me who this guy was, and that's totally fine. And then some people also said that I know who he is, but it doesn't matter. Caleb Ferguson is a guy who spent 6 years with the Dodgers. Almost all of it as a reliever. There were some starts, but it was as an opener. So let's just call it what it is. He was a 1-inning pitcher who had some success with the Dodgers. First year, 3.49 ERA, then a 4.84. That's not so great, but 2.89. In 2022, he was really good. 1.82 ERA in 37 appearances. 2023 with the Dodgers, 3.43 ERA. And then he gets traded from the Dodgers to the Yankees, and it did not go well with the Yankees last year. 5.13 ERA with a 1.5 whip. And again, reliever ERA can sometimes be a little bit of a don't use it too much, folks, but it just makes things easier here. He gets traded to Houston, and he does a nice job for Houston. He has a 3.86 ERA, a strikeout to walk ratio of 26-9 in 21 innings, excuse me. Signs with Pittsburgh, as we mentioned, a 3.74 ERA over 45 games in 43 1/3 innings, a 34-14 strikeout to walk ratio. He has allowed 1 homer. He has given up, I thought I had the extra base hits here, but it doesn't matter. Fielding independent pitching number of 3.14. Let's just get into the savant, right? Here's what Caleb Ferguson does badly. He does not initiate a lot of swing and miss. 18.5% of the time. That is very low. Very, very low. That ranks in the 7th percentile. He doesn't strike out a whole heck of a lot of batters. He strikes out 19.3% of the hitters he faces. He's not immune to walks. 8%, which is in the 53rd percentile, so it's not bad. And he doesn't throw particularly hard. He is typically around 93, 95. He averages exactly 94 miles per hour with his fastball. So not a hard thrower, not a guy who initiates a lot of swing and miss. Occasionally will have the walkies. Occasionally will give up that self-inflicted damage. Here's what Caleb Williams does, or Caleb Williams. Here is what quarterback Caleb Williams does really well for the Seattle Mariners. Here's what Caleb Ferguson does really well. He initiates weak contact as good as anyone. The average exit velocity against him is 83.5 miles per hour. The hard hit percentage against him is 25.2%. Both of those in the 100th percentile. He has a ground ball rate of 51.2. He's only given up 3.3% barrels. He does get hitters to swing at pitches outside of the zone at a nice rate, 30.2. That's in the 73rd percentile. He's really hard to square up. Which is not super unsurprising, but when you consider that the fastball is 94 miles per hour, it's a little surprising. It's at least a little surprising, but boy, he is really difficult to square up. Let's take a look at the pitch stuff. You know, it's less interesting for a reliever, but I got nothing but time. One of the things that's kind of interesting about a pitcher like Ferguson, because, you know, left-handed reliever, you're kind of thinking 2 pitches, right? Typically like fastball, breaking ball. Caleb Williams actually has 4 unique pitches that he throws quite a bit. His 4-seam fastball he uses 35% of the time. His cutter he uses 22% of the time. His sinker 21% of the time. And then his slurve 21% of the time. Now, you could take that as saying, well, he throws his slurve, breaking ball 21% of the time, and he throws a version of a fastball 79% of the time, right? I think that's a little disingenuous. I think that these pitches are different enough that you have to take them as something as a hitter that you're a little more, you have to be prepared. You have to be more prepared than just fastball slider like the typical left-handed reliever is nowadays. He throws all 4 of those pitches, does a pretty good job of throwing them for strikes. Let's take a look at the run values here. His best pitch this year by run value has been his sinker. Hitters are hitting 207 against it, slugging 207 against it, so no extra base hits against it. A weighted on-base average of 234. What's interesting is the expected stats suggest that he's had a little bit of bad luck here. Expected batting average of 196, expected slugging of 220. The hard hit percentage against that pitch, folks, 4%. 4%. That is disgusting. Absolutely diabolical. And then that slurve's been real tough too. Hitters hitting 152 against it, slugging 182 against it. Expected slugging of 231 suggests that there's just a modicum of luck, but not enough to say that, oh, he's due for some regression here. The pitch that's, you know, not been the best is the cutter, and he does throw it a lot. 205 batting average against, 308 slugging percentage against, but expected batting average of 281 and 427, expected weighted on base average against that of 349. That's very high. So that's the pitch that can get him a little bit of trouble, or he's due for more trouble against. Just to complete it, 4-seam fastball, hitters are hitting 264 against it, 377 slugging, whiffing 15.7% of the time. By the way, on that slurve, it's 29.5, percent of the time. That's easily his best swing and miss pitch. But man, that sinker, 4% hard hit rate. That's a bowling ball, folks. That is an absolute bowling ball. And that's going to be big. That's going to be big because, well, let's take a look at some of the splits real quick because you guys are probably wondering, okay, Caleb Ferguson, the numbers are good. How does he do against lefties compared to right-handers? Pretty important thing, right? You are right. So it will not shock you when I tell you that Caleb Ferguson is better against left-handers than right-handers, and actually substantially better. But maybe a little bit of a not as bad as you'd think, or rather, that's more compliment to him against lefties than it is insult against righties. Against lefties this year, hitters are hitting 167, 167, 257, 182 slugging percentage. That's a 439 OPS. Batting average on balls in play against it for lefties against him, of 212. And sure, there's some luck in that, right? But not when you initiate as much weak contact. This is where BABIP sometimes can be a little misleading because it's where if you just make a bunch of hard contact or weak contact, you shouldn't expect to get a bunch of hits. That's not how that works. Against right-handers, it's 250, 327, 364. So opponents have a 690, a very nice 6'9 OPS against Caleb Ferguson. That's not superb, but that's not bad. That is certainly not bad. He can hold his own against right-handers. And he gave up one extra base hit against lefties. He's given up only 8 and 102 plate appearances against right-handers. Some other interesting stats. He really enjoyed his home confines. He had a ERA of 3.67 there compared to 3.86. But the big thing here is they have 540 OPS against him at home, 648 away. That is still very, very solid. Taking a look, he has had some trouble lately. He did have an appearance where he gave up 4 runs, which, it's not good, but get giving up runs out of the way. In July, hitters are hitting 293, 33, 548. That's very much based on one really bad appearance. By month, before July, 527 OPS in April, March. I still hate that they do it that way. 671 in May. In June, this guy was lights out. Hitters hit 128, 205, 128 against him with a 0.75 ERA. All right. Enough of all the numbers. Was this a good trade? Yes. Yes, I like this a lot. I will say that I really wanted Danny Colombe. I thought he made I just think Danny Colombe is, and I know I just said his name different twice. I just thought he was a perfect fit for Seattle. And they still could get Colombe, but I don't think that's going to happen now. Be kind of weird if it did, because you're probably not going with 3 lefties in your bullpen. That's my only thing here. Probably a considerably higher asking price for him, but I like this. And it doesn't keep him from doing, and to say it doesn't keep him from doing anything is the understatement of understatements of understatements. You gave up a fringe prospect to get this guy. So you have plenty of ammunition to go do more. Will they do more? I hope so. I still think they need another bat. And after especially watching Logan Evans yesterday, I'd be going to get another starter. But this is a solid move. It doesn't fix everything, but the Mariners needed another lefty in this bullpen. And Caleb Ferguson, as your second left-hander, it's a really nice piece. Tell me what you think. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe if you haven't yet. We're so close to 2,000. I'm not going to ask for it because every time I ask for things, things go wrong. But I really appreciate the support. Caleb Ferguson. And if you're like me, yes, I do have the SNL sketch stuck in my head. Oh, you're going to see me